Let's start on our bellies, actually. So downward facing Shavasana. And you're going to decide here what feels good. So maybe it feels nice to rest on your forehead, arms by your side. Probably it feels a little better to make a pillow with your hands. Just turn your cheek to one side and just start to waggle the hips back and forth. Just find a little release in the lumbar, wherever you're at. And then actually too, before we go any further, just bend your knees and you can take your feet kind of wide and then just windshield wiper the legs back and forth. And that's also gonna give you a little stretch in the lumbar. Good, and then just come back to center. Maybe bring your knees a little bit closer together and then reach your right leg way back, place it on the floor, and then reach that left leg way back, place it on the floor. Good, and then you can kind of just let your feet do what they're going to here. The heels are gonna fall in towards each other a little bit. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Do that a couple more times. So letting the week so far go. We're on the last day of the month here. So kind of letting March go, shifting gears, getting ready for April, for spring. Maybe releasing anything that might be causing a little stress, a little anxiousness. See if you can let that go. And maybe you're not going to let it go entirely, but for this next hour, you're going to commit to the idea of checking in, slowing down, paying attention, noticing how your body is feeling, connecting with your breath. And do you start to find that Ujjayi breath, that inhale through your nose and that exhale through your nose? And just start to create that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. Allowing the sound of this breath to help draw you in. Observe if you start to tense up anywhere. So maybe in the legs, maybe you're kind of gripping the toes, soften. So feeling the front side of your body is feeling really supported by the floor underneath you. Good. And if you do have your cheek turned to one side, just turn to the other. So feel that stretch on the opposite side of the neck. The side might feel a little different. So observing that, noticing. Good. And then just come onto your forehead. Take your arms out wide like airplane wings, just resting on your forehead here. And we're going to just do a little kind of lower back stretch, a little of a neck stretch. So keep rooting into that right palm, bend your left elbow. So kind of walk those, that hand in, come up on the fingertips. So you look like this. And then you're going to turn onto your right cheek. Good. And then we're going to flip this left leg up and over. So feeling it's kind of a nice little stretch in this like belt area of the body. That's a classic anatomical term. So you're feeling a little stretch in that right shoulder, feeling a little stretch perhaps in the lower back. You might even be getting this in that left hamstring, glute. If you wanted to take this left arm, stretch it up and then kind of lean back, you're going to get into that top shoulder a little more as well. Still breathing here. If this is just absolutely excruciating on the neck, this would be a good place to have a blanket or a block underneath your head, just giving yourself a little support. Let's take one more deep inhale. Good, and then as you exhale, unwind, and we take that to the second side. So stretching left arm out, you're gonna bend those right fingertips in, and then flip that right leg up and over. So it's kind of like a little twist, a little kind of a little back bend here. Definitely a nice little neck shoulder stretch. And by nice, it might potentially be very intense in your body. If you'd like to stretch that right arm up, kind of lean back a little bit. So getting a little more of that opening across your heart and chest. Find that. Couple more breaths. Good, deep inhale. Exhale, unwind. Let's come into our Sphinx pose. So landing with your shoulders over your elbows, root down into the forearms, and then just feel as though you're gonna slide the mat back towards your heels. Feet are active, you're pressing into all 10 toenails. You're gonna feel the glutes fire up a little bit here. So they're kind of squeezing in towards each other. You're rooting down into your hip bones, your pubic bone. Good. And then just start to bring your gaze out over your right shoulder. Just go to that place where you're feeling a stretch. You might not get very far. Kind of just depends on a lot of things, how you slept, how stressed you are, how tight your body is. Come back to center. And then exhale. Bring your gaze out towards that left shoulder, any amount. Breath smooth and steady. That inhale through your nose and that exhale through your nose. Good. Inhale back to center. So start to lower down here. Slide your fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. Elbows squeeze in. As you inhale, chest extends forward and up. As you exhale, you lower down. Just a few like this. Bhujangasana Low Cobra. Inhaling, finding that length. Exhale, lower down. Couple more. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Good. Inhale up, hold here. See if you can lift the shoulder heads a little more, root down into your feet a little more, lift your hands up off the mat an inch. That's going to tell you if you're pressing into your arms to find your back bend. And then keep your hands lifted. See if you can lift a little higher using these muscles in your back. Good. Place the hands back down. From here, let's press to our tabletop and let's take a couple rounds of cat-cow. So as you inhale, you arch, which is going to feel really nice in that lower back. As you exhale, round in. Also feels good in the lower back and the upper back. Continuing like that, just moving at your pace. So you're not too fast, you're not too slow. You can have your eyes closed here, or your gaze soft and gentle in front of you. Just noticing how things are feeling here and really trying to find a lot of length and release in the back of your neck, especially as you come into that cat stretch. Good, let's inhale, come to a neutral spine. Walk your hands forward a couple of inches so you're neither arching or rounding. Curl your toes under here. Shift your hips up towards the ceiling. Keep that deep bend in your knees. That's going to allow you to get a little more space in your spine. Release your ears between your biceps and then feel that inner arm wrap towards the outer arm so you widen across the backs of your shoulders. And then start to melt both heels back any amount. You might get some like really lovely clicks and cracks like I just did. Sounds worse than it actually was. Good, and of course you're keeping a little bend in the knees if you need to. All right, from here, let's inhale, lift our right leg up. Exhale, step that foot through, land on your left knee. So make sure that your feet are about hips distance apart here. Hands come up to this right thigh. You're directing your tailbone down. As you inhale, arms reach up. Make fists here. And then keeping the arms, the muscles really engaged. As you exhale, pull down. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Inhale, press up. It's just a little heart opening here. As you exhale, pull back. Maybe bring your gaze up. Good. Inhale, press up. And then as you exhale, pull down. Nice work. As you inhale, press up. Release the hands. Palms press, and let's find a little side stretch here. So right fingertips come to your left wrist. Squeeze the hips in a lot as you start to lean off to the right. So especially fire up this right glute. And you're going to feel this lovely stretch here through the left side
Maybe you look up underneath that top arm. That's going to challenge the balance. It might not be happening if your neck is feeling tight today. Release that left shoulder blade down. Your back, good. Inhale up to center. As you exhale, hands plant. Curl your left toes under. So fire up that leg. Keep your gaze forward. Keep your hips this low. Step to your plank pose. So shoulders over wrists. Gaze slightly forward. You're reaching back through your heels, your tailbone as you stretch forward through your sternum. Breath smooth and steady. Take one more deep inhale here. And then exhale, shift forward on your toes. Option to come to knees. Lower to the halfway point. Hover. Take a couple breaths. Use the legs more. And then onto your belly. Tops of the feet press as you inhale, low cobra. If you're ready for an upward dog, drag the hands back, wrists under elbows. Press into the hands, straighten arms so your knees, your shins, your thighs are lifting up off the mat. And then from wherever you're at, you make your way back to your downward facing dog. Nice work, Neil. Good. As you inhale, lift that left leg up. Exhale, step your foot through. So you're not on a tight rope. You have enough space, about hips distance apart. Hands come up to this left thigh. Good. As you inhale, stretch the arms up overhead and then make those fists again. So engage the arms a lot. Squeeze the outer hips in. Pull the belly in. Exhale, pull down. Good. Inhale. Pressing up. You can just imagine that you're pressing some weights up here as you exhale. Pull down, open up. Try to squeeze those elbows in towards each other. Inhaling up. Good. As you exhale, pull down. Beautiful work. And then press up here. You can release the hands. And then we're going to bring our left fingertips to our right wrist. Squeeze the hips in a lot. Pull the belly in. As you exhale, find that gorgeous lateral stretch, which feels really, really nice. Keep that breath moving. As you roll those left ribs up, maybe you start to gaze up underneath that right arm if it feels okay to do so. Breath doesn't skip a beat. It does sometimes, but then we just remind ourselves to come back to it. Good. As we inhale, we come up here to center. Exhale, hands plant. Curl those right toes under. Fire up that leg. Keep your gaze slightly forward. Hips stay low. Step to plank. Few breaths. Use your legs more than you think you can. The work naturally comes into the arms, into the side body. You can kind of feel this in the core. So deep inhale. Exhale, shift forward on your toes. Lower to halfway. So you can roll into your upward dog from here, or you can lower down, taking low cobra or up dog, whatever feels best for you. Pull back. Downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then just find a little bend in your knees. Come to your tippy toes, peek forward between your hands. The end of your exhale, you can step right then left. Maybe you hop both feet through, maybe you walk forward. Inhale, chest lengthens, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, you fold in, letting the back of the neck lengthen and release. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretching your arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching, taking up space, letting this feel really good. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Let's just do a couple classic sun salutes here. Bend knees, plant palms, right foot back, then left. On the same exhale, shift forward. Lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. You can always be doing that with your knees, especially if you're newer, if you're modifying. Exhale, we make our way back to our downward facing dog. We take a few breaths here. So we've only been in a few of these already. It's starting to feel a little different. Body starts to open up and it kind of remembers where to go. So just notice that happening in your body. Firm the forearms in towards each other a little more. Make sure that you're pressing into all 10 knuckles. Notice how that really helps to activate the upper arms especially. All right, from here, we're gonna find a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. End of your exhale, lightly spring forward or step right then left. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, release in, inner thigh spiral back, Uttanasana. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhale, reach. Let's do that side bend again. So right fingertips to left wrist. Exhale, lean to the right. Inhale up to center. Good. Left fingertips to right wrist. Exhale, side bend to the left. Good. Inhale to center. As you exhale, you fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward. You bend your knees, plant your palms, gaze forward, left foot back, then right. Stretch out this exhale as you lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. Inhale, low cobra or upward dog, upward facing dog. You can always mix and match here in these vinyasas. You can also just skip them and go to downward dog. As you exhale, you pull back to your downward dog and you take a few breaths here. Just enjoying how it feels when the body starts to warm up a little bit, when we start to find this coordination with the breath that has this nice calming quality on the mind. All right, so let's inhale, lift our right leg up. As you exhale, step that right leg through. We're just gonna move with the breath a little bit. So if you know you're a little tighter and you have blocks, you might wanna grab those. If you're a little more open, you slide that left knee back quite a bit. So we're getting into this hip flexor. So exhale, kind of melt that left hip down. And then inhale, start to straighten that right leg, hips land over that left knee. Exhale, melting in, just warming this up a little bit. Inhale, find your half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Couple more, just moving with your breath here. No rush, take your time, stretch it out. Good. So the next time you're forward here, just hold, make any little adjustments that you need to. Send your breath to the front of that left thigh. Big muscles attaching, so this can be really intense, especially if you've been doing a lot of hiking, even a lot of sitting. It's amazing. Pretty much everything can make our body tight. Sometimes it's just how we're built. All right, so we're gonna pull this right leg back. This might be a good place for you to walk your blocks back, maybe even go a little higher. You could also be pretty upright here. So especially if you're tight in the hamstrings and the hip flexors. If you're a little more open, you might start to walk your hands forward. So you're finding a little forward fold. Keep drawing this right hip back, left hip forward as you do that. So there's a scissoring action happening in your legs. Try to keep a little openness across your heart and chest so you're not rounding in. Breathe into the belly of that right hamstring. Again, really, really big muscle. It's pretty tight for most of us. All right, so we're gonna rock forward here. Good, come onto your fingertips. Curl your left toes under, firm that thigh up. And then we're just gonna keep nice and low with our torso. So you're not laying your belly down on this right thigh. You're using a little core. Stretch your arms forward, so by your ears. So the rose on the Titanic pose. Actually, I guess she's more like this. You know what I mean. Good. And then go ahead and just release, palms down. Keep hips low, step to your plank pose or downward facing dog. And then Chaturanga Vinyasa, moving with your breath here. Being really distinct about each of those movements. So especially this plank to Chaturanga to up dog can get a little sloppy. Sometimes we can align it together. They're each distinct poses. Okay, so that little sequence to the second side. Inhale, lift your left leg. Nice. As you exhale, step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tightrope, and then depending upon how open you are, hands on blocks, maybe you slide that right knee back. So exhale, melt in, and then inhale, start to straighten that left leg, pull that left hip back as right hip comes forward. Exhale, rocking in. So just finding this simple little vinyasa here, moving with your breath. As you pull back into your half splits, don't feel like that left leg has to come entirely straight. Instead, just go to that place where you're getting a stretch, some sensation in your body. Good, and then let's hold here. So coming into this hip flexor stretch, make any little adjustments that you need to. Make sure that you're still breathing, and then maybe notice if there's any tension in your face and jaw, so especially when things feel a little challenging, that can happen. Just remember, it's only yoga. Fortunately, we don't hold these poses forever. Good, and then as you inhale, start to pull back. So again, maybe taking your blocks with you. You can be pretty upright here. Conversely, you can also walk your hands forward any amount if you tend to be a little more open in your hamstrings. And that's often true for women, not always. Part of that has to do with our muscles just aren't as bulky sometimes, so they don't get quite as tight. All right, so we're gonna start to rock forward on your fingertips here. So just giving yourself a little space. Curl your right toes under, fire that leg up, really press the belly of that hamstring up towards the ceiling. Keep your gaze forward. Your torso stays nice and low. Reach your arms up overhead. So imagine that you're just pressing that right foot back into a wall, but then somebody is holding onto your wrist and gently pulling you forward, but you're resisting them. I can talk. Good. Beautiful work. As you exhale, palms plant, keep hips low, step back to your plank pose. And from here, you pull back to your downward facing dog, or you take a Chaturanga Vinyasa, if that's calling to you. And then we just take a few breaths here in our downward dog. Again, make sure that you're just gazing between your feet. Inner thighs are spiraling back as your sit bones stretch up towards the ceiling. Good work. As you inhale, find a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, you can step left then right, or you can lightly hop through. You can walk forward if that's better in your body. As you inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, you fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Let's do one round of our classic Surya Namaskara B. So we're going to throw in our warrior one here and our Utkatasana. So as you inhale, knees bend, arms reach back, weight is in your heels, inner thighs spiral down, arms reach up, chair pose. Good. As you exhale, hinge forward, straighten the legs any amount, Uttanasana. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left, lower to halfway hover, or all the way down. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. As you exhale, you pull back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through, spin into the back edge of your left foot, drag that left hip forward. Inhale, rise up. Virabhadrasana 1, nice. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Again, you have options. You can step to downward dog, or you step to your plank pose, moving with your breath through that Chaturanga Vinyasa. Nice work. These look good. From our downward dog, we inhale, lift our left leg up, keep the hips even. Exhale, step that foot through, spin into the back edge of your right foot, and then drag that right hip forward. Inhale, rise on up. Good. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Chaturanga Vinyasa, or pulling back to downward facing dog, keeping legs really active wherever you're at. And then we just take a few breaths here. We use this downward dog as an opportunity to Slow down, catch our breath. We make any tiny little adjustments that we need to with our pose. So physically, where our hands, where our feet. Making sure that you're really activating the arms, activating the legs, so muscle firms to bone. Good. As we inhale, we're going to find a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. End of your exhale, lightly spring through or step right then left. Nice work. As you inhale, chest extends forward. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Okay, and then just bring your feet to hips distance apart if they're not, so you can heel toe them apart. Inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, Utkatasana, chair pose. Good, and then as you exhale, hands come to heart center. So notice how the hip bones are facing forward. We're gonna try to hold on to that. So twisting from this lowermost left rib. As you exhale, move in that direction. It might not be very deep. And then maybe you hinge in a little deeper and then snuggle that left elbow to the outside of that right thigh. Use that leverage that you're getting, nice Neil, to really find a little more twisting action. It might be subtle. Notice if that left hip is creeping forward a lot. Imagine that you're against a wall and you're pressing both sit bones evenly into that wall. And then firm your palms towards heart center. Maybe look up over your right shoulder. Good. As you inhale, come back to center. So palms still at heart center. Knees bent. And then exhale. Twist from that lowermost right rib. Maybe you can get that elbow to the outside of that left thigh. Just find that leverage to twist you in a little deeper, pressing palms vigorously towards heart center, and then imagining that you're just putting your sit bones into a wall behind you. Finally, perhaps you're looking up over that left shoulder. Good, one more deep inhale. Ooh, as we exhale, hallelujah, unwind, let the legs straighten, just find a forward fold. So nice Uttanasana here. Maybe you wanna bring your hands to the backs of your calves, your thighs, and just gently pull in. It's kind of like a standing Paschimottanasana. Good. As you inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips, elbows squeeze in, so back is nice and flat. Inhale, press into your feet, rise on up to standing. Good. Let's do a little shoulder stretch here. So you might want your strap, especially if you know you're a little tighter. If you don't have one, don't worry. We'll have another option. So finding your nice Tadasana as you inhale, stretch your right arm up. Good. And you're finding internal rotation, so you can use your left hand to help you find that. Bend the right elbow. And then to start, just press that left palm onto that right elbow, and you're going to feel this nice stretch on that tricep area, outer arm. So for some of us, this might feel like plenty of stretch. So this is a good place to stay. If you'd like to go a little deeper, start to extend that left arm out to the side. So palm facing forward, and then do the thumbs down sign so the palm is facing behind you. Start to release that arm down. And I like this part. I like to go slow because I can get a stretch on the front of the shoulder. And then bend the elbow. So I'm not going to be mirroring you here. This is where you can grab strap. You might be able to get your fingertips if the strap's not in the way. Good. So both good places to be. Notice if you start to puff the ribs out and the booty back. So finding that length. As you reach that right elbow up towards the ceiling, press this left shoulder head back. So it's a really, really intense stretch there. It feels nice. It's like one of those hurts so good kind of poses. What's going on with your breath? Is there tension in your face and jaw? Soften in those spots. Couple more. This is one of those poses where it's the best part of it is coming out. So let's go ahead and move in that direction. So as you inhale, find this diagonal with your arms. Good, and then let's press the walls away. So this is nice. It gets into that underarm, armpit area, even into the wrists a little bit. Good, make fists here. And then circle around. A few times both directions. Good, and then just releasing your arms down by your side. If the strap was helpful, just move it to the other side. Here we go. Inhale, stretch that left arm up. Internally rotating, so you're spinning the pinky side of the hand to face behind you. You can use your right hand to help you find a little more internal rotation. Hold on to that as you bend the elbow and reach your fingertips down your back. Okay, so starting out, just gently press down with your right palm on that elbow. Noticing how this side might be different in your body. Sometimes noticeably so. So staying here if this is good for you. Otherwise, reach right hand out perpendicular to your shoulder. Good. Give the thumbs down sign there. Good. And then moving nice and slow. Feeling this stretch. Good. And then eventually bending that right elbow. Walking hands up your back, holding onto the strap. So left elbow reaches, tailbone releases down. Good. Right shoulder head presses back. Feel the outer hip squeeze in. Breath smooth and steady, gaze soft and gentle, maybe even eyes closed here. Couple more good breaths. All right, so we're going to inhale, start to release, just find that diagonal. And then reach your arms out, point the fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then release, fingertips down, and then kind of curl the tips of the fingers towards your wrist. Can feel like a pretty nice stretch as well. Good, and then as you exhale, release your arms by your side so you can lose your strap here. Have your blocks handy again, if you happen to have them. So just have them at the top of your mat. All right, and we're gonna move on here. Okay, so as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge, forward fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. So keep your right foot forward, step your left foot way back. So we're gonna find our crescent pose. So as you inhale, rise up. So that back leg is nice and straight. You can have a little bend in the knee, especially if you're tighter in the hip flexors. This is gonna help you to find a little more release. Okay, so as you exhale, bring palms towards heart center. Vigorously press them in. As you exhale, twisting from that lowermost left rib, start to just find that twist to the right. And then maybe you hinge forward here, hooking that elbow, left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, and then vigorously pressing palms together. You might find that it's more beneficial to lower that left knee down here. So you're welcome to do that. If those left toes are curled under, really activate that leg. So firm that thigh up towards the ceiling. Breath is smooth and steady. Good, maybe you're moving towards bringing your gaze up over that right shoulder. Good, I want you to go ahead and look down at your right toes and maybe actually slightly forward. Stay in this twist. Think light thoughts, this is no big deal. We simply step our left foot forward to meet our right foot, so we come into our twisting chair pose. We've been here before. Good, deep inhale, nice work. As you exhale, unfold, release in. Good, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good, inhaling, reaching up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, lengthen. Good, left foot stays forward, step that right foot way back. Make sure you're not on a tightrope, feet hips distance apart. So again, little bend in that back knee if that's helpful for you. You can keep that leg nice and straight as we inhale. We rise up into our crescent pose. So hips are facing forward, torso is squaring to the front of the mat. It's a little easier to find it in this pose than in our Virabhadrasana one. As we exhale, hands come to heart center. So you're vigorously pressing them there. Feel the outer hip squeeze in, deep inhale. Then from this lowermost right rib, start to twist to the left. It might not be super deep. Keep pressing palms to heart center. And then maybe you could just stay here, or perhaps you hinge forward, snuggling that right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. You leverage them against each other to help you find a little more opening. You might need to lower onto that back knee here. Otherwise, keeping that leg really, really active. Maybe you move towards looking up over your left shoulder. Good, and then you're gonna just start to bring your gaze kind of down, slightly forward. Nice light thoughts, no big deal. 1, 2, 3, step your right foot to meet your left foot, staying in the twist. So finding that chair pose, great work. If you fall out, no big deal. If it's not the prettiest thing in the world, no big deal. Hey, we're doing this on Zoom or on YouTube, right? It's all good. Deep inhale. As you exhale, unwind, fold in. Pressing into your feet. Stretching your arms out and up. Great work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, arms reach. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Good, inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left foot. Pull back to downward facing dog from here, or take a Chaturanga Vinyasa. Nice and easy. Moving with your breath, don't speed through it, especially as we start to get a little tired. Inhale, right leg lifts, hips stay even. As you exhale, you're gonna step that right foot through. Okay. All right, so from here, I want you to step your back foot in like 3 inches and then spin into the back edge of that left foot. Start to straighten your right leg. So we're coming into our pyramid pose legs, and this might be where you want to have your block. So this is kind of like a standing version of those half splits. I'm gonna do another little side angle here too. So I'm drawing this left hip forward a lot as I pull my right hip back. So this left hip wants to open up, trying to square our hips to the front of the room. Nice work. Yes, and this is super, super intense. So if you have a block, you're gonna just keep your left hand on that block. Make sure it's under your shoulder. You're gonna bring your right hand to your right hip. If you're a little tighter here, you can be pretty upright and you can just take your left hand either onto your left thigh or your right thigh, whatever feels good. Start to wrap these left ribs to the right. Okay, and then maybe you take that right arm up. So we're kind of doing a lot of twisting here. We just keep adding on. So this is super, super intense. You could also, if you're a little tighter and you're at home, you could have your hand, that left hand on a chair in front of you or a table. That would also be a really good variation. Keep pulling right hip back as that left hip drives forward. One more deep inhale. As you exhale, unwind. So go ahead and bend that right knee, step those left toes back. And we have a couple more opportunities for vinyasas here. If you're getting cooked, especially after challenging pose like that, just pull back to your downward facing dog. Otherwise, you're welcome to take a vinyasa. Sometimes that just feels like a nice little palate cleanser. Good work, everybody. Hard part's almost done. As we inhale, we lift our left leg, hips stay even. Exhale, step that foot through, and then walk those right toes in just like 2-3 inches, not very deep, and then spin into the back edge of that foot. Start to straighten this left leg. So hands resting on something can be really nice. You're pulling left hip back as right hip draws forward. And so you can kind of see it from the angle here. This is kind of where we go. I want my hips even. So there's this sense of outer hip squeezing in towards each other here too. Breath smooth and steady. And we're gonna find our Pavrita Trikonasana here. It's like the big daddy of twisting poses. So right hand's on block underneath your shoulder. That hand could also be on either thigh, depending upon where you're at, what space you're working in. Hand could be on a table or a chair in front of you. Okay, so just bring your left hand to your left hip. Keep pressing to the back edge of that right foot as you spin lowermost right ribs to the left. Keep pulling both sit bones back. Maybe extend that top arm up. Are you breathing? It's hard to fill up on these deep, deep twists here, especially on the inhale. Do your best. Soften in places if you can. Good, one more deep inhale. And then exhale, unwind to palms, plant, bend in that left knee, walk those right toes back. Here it is, final Chaturanga Vinyasa if you would like. Skip it if you would like. Like the magic doesn't happen because you're doing more of these. All right, from here, we go ahead and lower down onto our knees and find a well-deserved little child's pose. So melt your hips back. Lengthen through the sides of your waist. You can be extending your arms forward here. It might feel nice to take your arms by your side. Let those shoulder heads just release down a little bit, wherever you need to be. Really consciously shifting your breath here, stretching it out, slowing it down. Good. As you inhale, slowly start to roll on up. Let's make our way to our backs and just come into a few bridge poses. So we've done a lot to warm up the front of the legs. So this should feel pretty nice here. So coming onto your back. Ankles underneath your knees, edges of the feet parallel with the edges of the mat, arms by your side, and then you're just gazing straight up here. So this is one pose where you don't want to do a lot of looking side to side. There's a lot of pressure on the neck, so we want to keep the neck nice and long. We're just going to move a few times with the breath. So as you inhale, press into your feet, direct your tailbone forward. As you exhale, lower down. Good, inhale up. Keep pressing to the inner edge of your feet. Sometimes we roll to the outer edge of the foot here. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Good, exhale, lower. And this time we inhale, press up. And we hold here. So you can grab the outer edges of your mat, walk your hands closer to your heels, snuggle your shoulders under. You can interlace fingers underneath you. You can do your robot arms, so pressing to the upper arm. So whatever feels good and whatever helps you to get more stretch across your chest, your pectorals. And as you're doing that, as you inhale, it's going to feel like your upper chest is expanding towards your chin. You're keeping that length in the back of your neck. This is such a beautiful pose to feel the expansiveness of the breath. It's very three-dimensional. You can feel the breath in the front of the body, the sides of the body, the back of the body. Good, couple more. As you exhale, release your hands if you have them interlaced underneath you or the sides of your mat. Just lower down. Take a breath or two here. We're going to come into another one. So the key to these is not waiting too long. So let's go ahead and inhale, press into our feet, lift up. So again, just snuggle arms underneath you. And then let's come up onto the tippy toes. So you're lifting your heels up off the mat. Keep the knees squeezing in towards each other. Inner thighs spiraling down as your tailbone extends forward. You just might feel the quadricep a little more. Go ahead and release, heels down. Take a deep inhale. Press even into your feet, lift your hip bones higher. Good, and then as you exhale, roll on down here. And let's find a nice little happy baby. So grabbing the outer edges of your feet, gently pulling down, maybe rocking a little bit from side to side. You also might just be holding the backs of the thighs and pressing down. So wherever you need to be. Good, go ahead and release your feet back down to the mat, and let's get into some hip stretching, which we haven't done tons of today. So we're just gonna keep it mellow. We're gonna do our reclining pigeon. We're gonna take the right ankle above the left knee. You can take your right hand into that right thigh, gently press forward. So you might be getting plenty of sensation here like this. This is where you stay if that's you. If you have a little further to go, bend that left knee in, interlace fingers either around the thigh or the shin, and then you can wedge that right elbow into that thigh again. Do flex that right foot. That just helps to engage the muscles around the knee, protects the joint. So we never want sensation in the knee joint that is hinging on being painful. That's never a good thing. A little stretch, okay. A lot of pain, not okay. I would say run fast in the other direction from any teacher that tells you otherwise. All right, let's take a couple more good breaths here. Okay, nice deep inhale. Exhale, release that left foot down to the floor if you took that variation. And let's do a twist here. I'm going to give you a couple of options. So arms are going to come in a T shape. I've been loving the twist in this shape. So your legs stay exactly like this, and then you roll to the outer edge of your left foot, stamp down into that right foot. It's just a little different. It's nice in this lower right glute, lower back. If you prefer entirely crossing your right thigh over your left thigh, you're welcome to do that. Just make sure you press into the left foot, scoot your hips off to the right so you give yourself a little space, and then let the knees fall off. And that just goes into different area too. They both feel really nice. Pick the one that feels good for you today. Your gaze here can be straight up at the ceiling, or you can start to look out over those right fingertips. On your next inhale, come back to center. So square hips off, uncross. So find that little bridge pose setup. And then we take left ankle above right knee. So left hand can press into that thigh. You're flexing your left foot. This might feel like plenty of stretch for you. So this is where you stay. Side to side too, especially in these hip stretches. One side can be noticeably tighter. So if this is that side, stay here. If you have a little space left in your body, bend the right knee in, interlacing fingers either around that right shin or thigh, and then maybe wedging your left elbow into that left thigh. So it's like you're pulling in and pressing out at the same time. If you've lost the thread of your breath, come back to the breath. And probably you've noticed that the breath has started to lengthen out here as we move into this quieter part of our practice. So enjoy that, let that happen. Let's take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, release, and then we find that twist again. So you can keep this shape here, just rock to the outer edge of that right foot and then stamp into that left foot. If you want to take the left thigh entirely over the right, just make sure you press into that right foot, scoot your hips to the left, and then let knees fall over. In both poses, shoulder blades should be pressing evenly. Hips are moving towards stacking on top of each other. So hip plates don't need to be pressing down, but you do want your shoulder blades to be pressing fairly evenly. And if they're not, if that left shoulder blade is lifted up off the mat a lot, it probably just means you're too deep into the twist. So give yourself some support, come out a little bit. Good, and then inhale up to center here. Uncross. Give knees a squeeze, rock and roll a little bit from side to side. And then we're gonna make our way into our final resting pose, Shavasana. So whatever that looks like for you today, maybe you're more in a constructive rest position with knees bent, feet wide, and the knees knocking in towards each other. You might be in a classic Shavasana. You could take legs up a wall. You could even be seated in quiet meditation. So wherever you wanna go, just move in that direction. And then completely surrender here, completely relax, completely melt in. So you've worked really, really hard today. Now you rest really hard. Shavasana. Let your next inhale be deeper. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then begin to wiggle fingers and toes, bringing a little gentle movement back to your body. And stretching arms up overhead. Good, and then staying soft and quiet. You're gonna roll to one side or the other, just finding the fetal position, pausing there a moment. And then you'll use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. Just pausing here one final time, checking in, noticing how you feel, noticing what's shifted for you this past hour. You're soaking up all of the good physical sensations, the good mental sensations, and just promising yourself that you're going to carry a little of this feeling with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work. Thank you.